On the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, 13 leaders from the Baltic and Nordic states, Spain, Canada and top EU officials arrived in Kyiv to attend the Support Ukraine Forum. 24 other foreign leaders joined them via video call, including representatives from the United Kingdom, Italy, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Poland, Moldova, Turkey, Japan and other countries.
February 24th, 2025, 3 years after the start of Putin's so-called three-day special military operation, Ukraine is still standing, still fighting, and has more friends in the world than ever before. Our red lines are well known. We will never recognize the illegal annexation of any part of Ukraine. These will always remain our territories, even if they are temporarily occupied. We will never agree to a reduction of our armed forces. That is why Ukraine needs the support of EU leaders and every individual country.
During the forum, state leaders announced new aid packages for Ukraine, including military assistance. Denmark pledged nearly 270 million euros, Spain 1 billion euros, Norway 3.5 billion euros, and the UK more than 5 billion euros. Additionally, the European Union plans to allocate 3.5 billion euros as announced by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
I will present a comprehensive plan on how to scale up our European arms production and defense capabilities, and Ukraine will also benefit. No one wants peace more than the people of Ukraine, but there is only one path to the just and lasting peace they are longing for, and this runs through military and financial strength for Ukraine. That is why we are strengthening your economy. This is why we increase the resilience of your energy supply. This is why we will continue training and equipping your troops. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission.
Another key topic at the forum was Ukraine's future in the European Union. Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda proposed setting a concrete date for Ukraine's accession to the EU.
We, as Europeans, must take responsibility without delay because Europe's security depends on Ukraine's security. That is why we must accelerate Ukraine's path to the EU. I propose a date, January 1st, 2030. The first accession negotiations could start within weeks. Let's make Ukraine's EU membership irreversible. Gitanas Nausėda, President of Lithuania.
Ukraine's path to peace was another major discussion point. In a video address, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated that by next year the world should be marking the anniversary of peace, not war. He also reiterated Ankara's opposition to Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine and affirmed Turkey's continued support for Kyiv.
We remain steadfast in our support for Ukraine's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence. I say this with absolute sincerity. It is our shared responsibility to ensure that next year we commemorate the anniversary of peace. As Turkey, we will continue making every effort to achieve a just and lasting peace. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, President of the Republic of Turkey.
President Volodymyr Zelensky aims to end Russian aggression this year. However, he stressed that trust in Moscow remains non-existent.
Ending the war must start with steps that restore trust in the process itself, because right now, there is no trust in Russia. A first step could be the release of prisoners. Thousands of people who are being held in Russia. Some of them have been there not just since 2022, but since 2014. Russia must release Ukrainians. Ukraine is ready for an all-for-all exchange, which would be a fair solution.
International leaders share this lack of trust in Moscow. President of Finland, Alexander Stubb, explained that the current phase is a pre-negotiation stage, where the world must keep pressuring Russia while providing full support to Ukraine. Reported by Sergey Kulyas, Mykita Skoblikov, UATV News.
The President of France called on allies to make strategic decisions to defend Europe. He also proposed introducing joint European funding to increase arms purchases and production. Emmanuel Macron is convinced that it will be difficult for Europe to have a unified army. However, he believes it is possible to create shared defense capabilities. Otherwise, he argues, Europe will not be able to become more autonomous.
As Europeans, we must increase our military efforts. We, the French, have a strong army, the most effective in Europe. We will need to strengthen our defense and our security. In the coming weeks, I want to organize a large-scale European funding initiative to increase defense procurement and production.
France must also increase its defense budget share, President Macron is convinced. During a meeting with parliamentary factions and groups, he suggested that the National Assembly, the country's parliament, consider increasing defense spending to 5% of gross domestic product. He reminded them that in the 60s, 70s and 80s, during the Cold War, France had similar levels of defense spending. However, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, investments were reduced. Today, France spends about 2% of its gross domestic product on defense.
The time is coming when we will have to invest even more, both in France and across Europe, to strengthen our defense and security. I'm not sure if 5% is the right figure for France, but in any case, we will have to raise these expenses. I do not rule out launching a savings mechanism. We are entering an era where each of us should ask ourselves, what can we do for the French nation and the Republic? In this sense, such a savings mechanism would be a very good idea.
In recent days, Emmanuel Macron has had numerous conversations with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The two leaders have coordinated their diplomatic efforts for the immediate future.
During the conversation, the presidents of Ukraine and France shared details of their contacts with other world leaders and coordinated positions, joint plans, and next steps. Volodymyr Zelensky and Emmanuel Macron also discussed in detail the views on security guarantees. From a publication on the website of the Office of the President of Ukraine,
in particular, the leaders discussed preparations for Emmanuel Macron's visit to Washington. According to the French president, he intends to meet with Donald Trump and urge him to be weak in the face of Putin, as this is not in Washington's interest. How can you be authoritative in the face of China then? Macron asked.
He, Macron, will come to the United States to speak for the Europeans and to say that Ukraine's future cannot be decided without them. Benjamin Haddad, the Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs of France, from a publication in Le Figaro.
The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, is also preparing to visit Washington. Information about the upcoming visits of Macron and Starmer was confirmed by the White House. They stated that the leaders of France and the UK would visit the United States separately, and the dates for their visits have been set.
And next Monday, the President will host France's President Emmanuel Macron. And on Thursday, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will visit the White House as well.
According to The Telegraph, the Prime Minister of the UK will urge Donald Trump to keep American fighter jets and missiles ready in Europe in case Russia violates the terms of any potential ceasefire. Additionally, Starmer is expected to bring the United States a strategy for deploying European troops in Ukraine.
Sir Keir Starmer will present Donald Trump with a plan to send fewer than 30,000 European troops to Ukraine in an attempt to secure American protection for the deployment. The Prime Minister is expected to detail how European forces could police any ceasefire deal brokered by the U.S. President when the pair meet in Washington next week. From a publication in The Telegraph.
The question of a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine is also being considered in Paris. According to Emmanuel Macron, France would likely be willing to send troops to guarantee peace only if it's achieved through negotiations. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Valeria Nikipelova, UATV News.